Welcome to this week's show of the Irish Fantasy Punts. I'm here with Shane and Jamie for another week of fantastic analysis, or lack thereof analysis. Shane, I'll throw it to you first for your hellos.
Howdy.
Let's crack,
Followed
lads.
quickly by Jamie.
How are we getting on? We are
Smooth,
back.
dulcet tones.
What's the tone?
Hey, Jamie, you ever
We
going to
had a bit
release
of
that ASMR tape?
You are sleepy now.
That is not what
That's
ASMR
creepy.
is.
That's creepy. I am watching you from
Please
above.
don't.
That
Please
is
don't do
again
any
not what we
ASMR.
are talking about.
We
There's
listen to
nothing
the
worse than
different ones.
that.
We listen to different ASMR for clearly.
Yeah, you listen to rapey stuff and I don't listen to it at all. I just know what it is.
I thought you were going to say there, I just do it.
No,
Shane
Dad,
just
there's
does
only
rapey
one. There's
stuff.
only one guy who does that in this podcast. He's the guy who compared himself to Sean Watson a couple of weeks ago.
Just for a bit of background, we're recording a day early today because Shane has to go to Ed Sheeran tomorrow night. So his draft night is starting with a bit of A team, and then it's going into watching the Dallas Cowboys be a B team.
Oh, that was quite pretty, Dan.
Who's the team picking ahead of the Cowboys in the draft? Remind me, who's that team? Who's the team picking ahead of us?
You sound so proud of your finish.
Who's the team picking ahead of us? I think it's the
Are we
Cardinals.
picking-
Is it?
Are
Yeah,
we picking ahead of you? Did you make the playoffs?
Yeah. yeah, we did. We're picking after ye because ye were worse than us, and in a year's time, you won't even have Kyler. So suck my balls.
Who did the Cowboys lose to in the playoffs? I cannot remember this year's playoffs at all.
Oh, we were just shit. We lost to the 49ers.
Niners,
team.
that was it. Yeah.
Same team that beat out the Packers.
Yeah, we were sick because we were remember we were going to watch that match together. We were going to go for pints. And
Yeah,
then the 49ers won. Bastards.
yeah.
Jimmy G had other thoughts than your pints.
Oh my god, Jimmy G.
Jimmy G was on Twitter. The boys were going for pints, so I ruined it on them.
I'd still go for a
Thanks,
drink with Jimmy
Jimmy.
G, man. He's the biggest overachiever ever in NFL history. Has to be, surely. It's got to be up there anyway.
Nick Foles. Nick Foles.
Nick
Just
Foles
don't
is fucking legendary. That man went on the best playoff run I've ever seen. That was just class. And I'm a Cowboys fan, and I thought that was unbelievable. I wasn't rooting for him, but I was like, if they win, I'm not going to be as mad as what I would be other years. It was like, at least thank God it wasn't Carson Wentz.
Just for background for everyone, we're all three of us are watching Liverpool in the Champions League on a separate stream. So if you hear different ahs or oohs during the game, don't worry. None of us are, that interested in the podcast.
I'm not actually watching it. I'm actually watching Flash Score because I have a bet on, and I'm like here waiting for Atalanta and Inter to score, and I'm like, come on, you useless.
I thought you were going to say, I'm not actually watching Liverpool. I'm watching Lego Masters or something like that.
Lego Masters. I tried to watch that before. It's not as good as it seems.
What the fuck?
I don't know. It's a bit over the top.
What do you mean? What's going on, Shane? I'm watching Lego Masters. And Atalanta.
The fuck is Lego Masters?
You ever see Lego Masters?
No, what the hell do you two be doing in your spare time? I just like
Watching Lego
what the fuck is Lego Masters?
Clearly, you're not a Lego master.
Yeah.
No, I'm a normal person who watches sports and other man stuff.
Lego is sport.
What the fuck
I
is
love watching
Lego?
all those men put on tight clothes and run around the field.
Do you say what's Lego?
Yeah,
the only Lego.
What's Lego?
Yeah, is that not what you're saying? It sounds like you're saying Lego.
The only thing Shane had was those like really cheap, shitty blocks.
Yeah.
He had the prestige of Lego.
Who bought real Lego? It's expensive as fuck, and you get the same thing, just a little bit bigger for a lot cheaper. So it's bigger and better.
It was actually smaller. Mega blocks were those stupid big ones, weren't they?
Massive bastards, yeah.
Lego is pure expensive though. Like you want like the tiniest thing from Lego, €80.
It is ridiculous.
It's almost as
Anyway.
bad as wedding planning. And on that note, let's get into the NFL draft. Well, no,
Let's
we'll do the news
let's
first.
get married.
My pending nuptials already cost me too much, and I haven't even planned anything yet. Anyway, we're going to start with the news in the NFL, and we're going to give a little bit of breaking news from last night. So Melvin Gordon is re-signing with the Broncos. So there goes everyone's Javonte Williams hopes. Just forget about it. Melvin Gordon is here to ruin the day again. Jamie, do you have any Javonte shares anywhere, or are you purely immune to this news?
I don't, but I have tried to pick him up numerous times last year. Thank God I haven't now, because that's them absolutely ruined. Fantastic for the Broncos. To be fair, that's a really good set of backs. But fantasy wise, you don't want to be dealing with that crap again. That's on the par with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon last year, and that was just a headache that you just don't want. You know, that's a pity because Williams could be so good. He could be really, really up there.
Shane, do you have Javonte shares, or are you out in the wilderness on this one too?
Yeah, no, I'm done with this one, man. That's not to do with me. I don't think I'm going to touch it now that Melvin Gordon's going back. Yeah, I think anyone who was considering taking him as a keeper, I think if you have a keeper league, I wouldn't be keeping him now. I'd be looking at what other options you have, because he's not I don't think he's going to be as highly valued. I think Melvin Gordon is going to get his snaps. He wouldn't be going back unless he was going to get snaps. So that takes away drastically from his value. The Broncos just love shooting themselves in the foot as well, like, don't they? They just love to just be like, we look like we're going to turn it around. What can we do to fuck it up?
In fairness, I don't think adding Melvin Gordon's going to ruin it too badly for them. I just hope that it gets to, like, if you got 65% of the snaps for Javonte, that'd be pretty good, but I don't think you're going to get that. It's probably going to be 50-50 again, or 55-45. He's going to get enough snaps to annoy the crap out of you, like.
Yeah. Like, it's so hard to get that back now in fantasy football, where you know he's getting like 80% of the snaps. Like, Zeke was one of those guys. He's not anymore. Tony Pollard has taken nearly half the snaps off of him now. Like, it went from 20%, I think, up to 40-something% last year he got in snaps. Derrick Henry is the only guy popping out off the top of my mind that gets, and Jonathan Taylor, sorry, as well, stupid one to miss out on. But them two guys are the only guys that get like over 70% of the snaps on their team. Like, and it's running back, I think, for me in fantasy in the next few years might start being a bit more devalued. Just like the league has, for the simple fact, too many teams are going with 2 and 3 back systems, and it's too hard to get points off them.
Yeah, it kind of you kind of missed out on CMC there when he plays his 3 games a year.
Well, that's why I mentioned him, because why I never ever look. I'm not a fanboy of CMC. I think he's a great back on his day. He's the best guy in the league. I'm not too in love with Derrick Henry not to say that. CMC is brilliant, but I'm never drafting him, and I don't understand anyone that does draft him. In my opinion, CMC should fall to the 3rd or 4th round, because that's what his value is. He's not going to stay fit. If he stays healthy, I'll be amazed. Like Dalvin Cook. Remember when Dalvin Cook was a 3rd round back? I got him our first year doing a league with you. I got Dalvin Cook in the 3rd round, at the end of the 3rd round. And that was well undervalued because he stayed fit all year. First time he stayed fit all year in what, 2-3 seasons?
Yeah, he had an injury prone time at one stage there where he was just constantly falling apart. But we've somehow gotten to Dalvin Cook when we were talking about Melvin Gordon. So we'll move on to the next piece of news and talk about Kadarius Toney. Doesn't seem likely to be traded by the Giants now at this stage. This news kind of flew out of nowhere last week and got a lot of traction where he was being traded, he wasn't being traded. But now it seems like they've set, and it looks like Toney is staying in New York, Jamie.
Yeah, it just kind of looked like they were just trying out there, see if someone would kind of take him more than anything. It looked like they were kind of looking for an offer from him, which they weren't really going to get because, like, was anybody really that high in Kadarius Toney really? Anyway, probably not. Either he hasn't really proven anything yet to really be valued that much in a trade at the moment. How many games did he play? Many games last year? I know he played a couple at the end, but like he wasn't.
Yeah, he kind of had 3 or 4, I think, that he was
Yeah.
like usable, but he did have massive injury periods, and then he went off for like 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in one game, and then managed to get ejected in the same game or something stupid like that.
Which is impressive.
Pull it up for you. Yeah. Shane, what do you think about Toney?
I like Toney. I think he's a heap of upside. He just first year in the league, he needs to prove to me that he can stay fit. Like, there's too many guys inside in the league at the minute that they've been way overhyped. Yeah, on their day they're very good, but Toney hasn't proven to be like an outstanding receiver yet. We know he has speed, he can make guys miss, but like he's a 1 year dude. He hasn't done it consistently. As you said, he's a heap of injuries. I just don't see a team coming in for him and valuing him extremely high. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, look at this for a stat line. So first game, 0.8 points, nothing in the second game, 2.6 in the third game. The fourth game, he obviously gets a bit of a breakout. He plays 78% of the snaps and gets 10.9 points. So that's not too bad. Then week 5 against Dallas, 24.6 fantasy points on 54% of the snaps. He had 13 targets for 10 receptions, 189 yards. Let's see how many touchdowns he got. Did he get a touchdown? He mustn't have gotten a touchdown. He didn't get a touchdown. He just got 189 yards on 54% of the snaps and then got ejected. Legend.
That's a lot of yards with no touchdowns, like.
And then he does absolutely nothing then for the rest of the season. Just chills out. Barely plays.
Yeah, so you don't really get where the trade is coming from or where they expect the trade to come from. Because even with that kind of value, like what are they really going to get from him? So,
yeah, this receiver had 1 good game. Trade is 2 firsts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I think New York would be lucky to get a third for him, to be honest. The third round pick for me is around what he would be valued at, maybe at a push. Just
especially
the upside is there.
He seemed a bit like erratic, I think, as well in his behaviors, didn't he? He just seemed a bit odd.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's hard to make out. He's a young guy. He's only 1 year in the league. Like, everyone is expecting these fully fledged professionals to come out of the draft. Like, yeah, some guys are that. They're the finished product when they come out. They know what to do in the media. They know how to live their life. They're 24, 25. They've had, good people around them their whole lives. They're grand. But, like, some guys aren't. They're still kids. You're a kid getting millions. You're bound to break out. You're bound to have a bit of an attitude at times. Throw a strop. Jesus, JB's 30 and he still throws a strop every now and then.
It's true.
Speaking of people who are prone to throwing a strop, Baker Mayfield is still has Seattle as a likely destination, but apparently the Panthers are not expected to trade for the Browns QB. So Baker Mayfield is kind of looking at Seattle at this point. But are you excited about Baker Mayfield for the Seahawks, Shane?
No, I don't see the Seahawks going in for Baker. I don't see him giving up more draft capital or giving up a wide, like people are saying, like the wide receiver thing might be a thing. Get rid of DK and try pick up more draft picks off the Browns and get Baker in the process. I don't see that any of those sort of things happening with Seattle. I think they're going to go full rebuild, and I could see I could see the Seahawks going heavy on defense this year to beef that up, and then we'll see what happens.
Jamie, what are your thoughts on Baker? In my opinion, Seattle is kind of a graveyard for fantasy points this year. But do you have any opinions on Baker going there? Could he revive it?
No, not really. Well, I suppose it depends if they hold on to Metcalf as well. If he's someone to throw the ball to, he has shown in glimpses that he is the quarterback people thought he was. I say he had a huge fucking ego on him. So, an ego that doesn't really fit up the talent that people thought he had. But he's not a bad quarterback. He could do a job there. But all depends, like they get away with Metcalf, get away Lockett. So he has no one to throw it to.
Yeah, that'll we might talk about Metcalf a little bit more when we kind of go through the draft and kind of think about, what the mad things that could happen in the draft. But that does nicely segue us onto our draft primer.
Pow.
I was talking to a friend there today. Like, I guess I do have friends. Would you believe?
No,
I've never been less excited. Self-burn.
High five.
I've never been less excited about a draft really than I have about this one, purely because, like you were saying earlier, Shane, there's very few offensive weapons kind of in the top 10. So you kind of zone out a bit.
If you look at the most people's top 50, the power rankings of the top 50 prospects, they're all a lot of defensive guys and O-linemen, and like O-line depth this year is insane in the draft. Like if you're a person who likes to watch O-linemen, more power to you, and this is your draft. These guys are going to be good guys to get, but there's only one wide receiver consistently making it into the top 10 of these power rankings that I've been looking over and seeing from NFL analysts, and that's the main man, Wilson. There's no one else making it in there. So for guys like us and other fantasy football people, it's maybe not the draft that we'd look forward to as much, because we're not going to see many guys probably that we'd see a few, but we won't see a whole heap. Like there's Bryce Hall probably isn't going to go to the second round. Maybe he gets out late in the first, but I think he's a second day pick. But I think anyone who's looking at fantasy football, day 2, day 3, day 2 especially is going to be the day for fantasy football guys. That's where you're really going to want to watch. There's going to be a lot of receivers going. You're going to get a good few running backs, I'd say, going as well, and we'll have a bit of a better understanding of who's going to obviously be where and what that means for fantasy implications. So pray to God the Jets don't get any of your favorite players, so we can actually draft them then.
Yeah, there really isn't much upside if you're looking at it from a fantasy football perspective. It's very, very defensive based. Like, even looking at the few lads that are there, like if you're looking for a quarterback in the Dynasty League, you don't have much of a choice there, really. Maybe one or two running backs again. So one or two lads that might break out. A couple of good wide receivers. Other than that, Jesus, there's not much really, is there?
No. We'll jump in first and we'll look at the, kind of the top 10 picks, just the order of them, and we kind of see what these teams need. So like Jacksonville picking at 1, they kind of need an edge, an O-line, maybe a receiver. We have the Detroit Lions there. Take your pick, but it's kind of a QB, edge, cornerback they have listed here. I don't think they'll take a quarterback in this class. I don't think that would make any sense for the Lions here.
No,
Houston.
like what don't Houston need? Let's just go. Look, can we jump back to Jacksonville for a second? We were talking about this beforehand. Dan, everyone's got Hutchinson nailed on as the overall number 1 pick in the media. But as I was saying to you earlier, there seems to be a bit of a buzz coming around that maybe he's not going to go 1. So Jacksonville actually seem to have a guy nailed on themselves that they seem to be thinking is going to go number 1 overall. And Hutchinson seems like he's going to fall into the Detroit Lions' laps. And I can't see them not taking. The Lions are going to take Hutchinson if he falls there. Then,
Yeah, like most of the mocks seem to have Trayvon Walker now going to Jacksonville with the first pick.
yeah, I can't disagree with that either. Like, look, from the limited study that I've done on it, I'm not going to try get away with it and be an expert like these other guys, but listening to the experts, it seems like Hutchinson has a bit more to do. The same with Thibodeau, the end out of Oregon. He's another guy who seems like there's just questions over how much he really loves football. Is it just a payday to him, or does he want to play? Do you know, like he gets lost in big moments. And Hutchinson, I think he's undervalued. I think he's not one of the Bosa brothers from any film that I've seen on him, but he is really athletic. He's just not. I don't know. He just doesn't flash as much as what, say, the previous top DNs have, and likes of Chase Young and guys like that. Who, like, if Chase Young was in this draft class, Chase Young will go number 1. Like, he's not that quality. Like,
Yeah, so that kind of it just seems like it's kind of, that's again another reason it seems a bit muck, because even the defensive players don't seem to scream out at you. So pick 4, we have the Jets, who again need an edge, a wide receiver, and a corner. That's a theme for the top 10. Really, everyone's looking for an edge and a corner and a wide receiver. The Giants at 5, then, with an offensive tackle, an edge, and a tight end. The Giants seem to be everyone's favorite choice for the first tackle. The Panthers, they're in the market for QB, as we were talking earlier, an offensive lineman and an edge. And we'll finish up here at pick 7, so we can just dissect these. Whether the Giants are going again for the pick they got from the Bears, so that again, this could be your tackle, your corner, or your edge could go there again. So you were saying earlier that you were a bit surprised you saw a mock draft, Shane, that had that corner, what's his name, going at 5.
Sauce Gardner going, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one, yeah.
Look, if Sauce Gardner isn't gone off the board before 5, because Stingley could have been the number 1 corner in this draft class, only for injury. So Sauce Gardner he's a guy that can sit in an island and do it by himself. Now, the Giants do need that. There's no question they need that on defense. But for me, there is a small chance that the Carolina Panthers maybe double down on Sam Darnold and they take an O-lineman. And the O-lineman that seems to fit the best with New York at the minute is Cross. He's also the guy that seems to be getting mocked a lot for Carolina. So if it was me picking for the Giants, I would take Cross at 5, and Carolina aren't going to take a corner. They have corners. They're not going to take another one. I think Sauce falls to 7 anyway and take Gardner there at 7. That for me is what makes sense. Because that way then you're also guaranteeing the pick 6 is definitely going to be the first and only probably skill position for fantasy wise that's going to be a pick that we can actually look at.
For the Panthers.
Yes. Yeah. Panthers are probably the first quarterback option we would have thought. Like they could make the move for Kenny P, or they could make the move for one of the other quarterbacks that are available at the moment, but I don't think anyone has a lot of faith in these quarterbacks either. But
bar the owner of the Carolina Panthers, who just so happens to be a big Kenny Pickett fan. Man, the owner of the Carolina Panthers went to Pitt himself, and he's followed Kenny Pickett's career, and it is very likely that Kenny Pickett ends up in the first QB off the board, even though people are a little bit higher on Malik Willis. But Kenny Pickett, for me, I think goes first, just with the Carolina connection there. I think they take him at 6.
Yeah, I think people are a little bit slow on Pickett. I think it's probably because of his age. He's 24. He's been there for a while. he kind of got into the draft and a bit of a default, because we're seeing that he was in the draft class 2 years ago, but then the NFL dragged it out to last year as well that you could also acquire for this draft, and that's kind of how he got into it. So they're a little bit kind of dodgy on him to see what his actual talent is. He's only really had one good year. That was last year.
He's also called Kenny Pickett. It's not exactly the sexiest name in the world, is it? Like,
he definitely works.
Well,
at the farm
here
in Georgia
if he
or
falls
something.
past if he falls past Carolina, he'll be Kenny Pick Me.
Kenny Pick Me. Kenny Pick 6. Oh. Hopefully he's awful so we can use that. New York Giants then. New York Giants are back at pick 7, so I'd personally think they take that tackle at 5 and they'll take their corner at 7, because like you say, the Panthers aren't going to be taking a corner. And then we'll go back and look at our list of needs. So then we are to the Falcons, who like the ever-known Texans, pretty much need every position on offense bar tight end at this stage. So it's kind of hard to know where the Falcons will go with this pick, purely because they could just pick anything. It's a complete wild card pick to me. Like, you could see Willis here, you could see Pickett here if he falls, you could see any of the edge players, you could see Drake London, you could see any number of the receivers, really. I don't think Olave would go this early, but then again, I didn't think Henry Ruggs would go at pick 10 when that happened. So I can't guess what the Falcons will do with their pick.
I think settle in for another offensive lineman here. I think looking at the Atlanta Falcons team, you're thinking, what have they really got? They don't have a QB. So what's the point in picking a wide receiver? You're not going to have a guy that can get him the ball. But at the minute, you do have Cordell Patterson, who's looking at a fantastic year last year. What's the best way of getting Cordell on the ball and getting points is drafting a big-ass man who can sit in front of him and push people out of the way. So for me, I think they go O-line here again. I think it makes the most sense for Atlanta. Or maybe they go D-line, but if it was me, I'd be going O-line. Just to get that bit more of a push. A good run blocker in front of Cordell, for me, would be the right choice here. There's an absolute ton of them.
You're probably right. Like to sign Mariota on a 2-year deal, so they obviously just want him there for to kind of just pick up the scraps while they're rebuilding. But what's the point of picking up a quarterback and learning behind Mariota? To be honest,
what are you gonna learn? Like,
that's my point. Because you also have Mariota at your other point. So what's the point in drafting a wide receiver? Because
they literally do have no wide receivers, though. They have nobody on the roster at wide receiver at the minute. Ridley is banned. Russell Gage is gone.
That's true too. So yeah, it could very easily be a wide receiver here. You just don't know. It's such a toss-up.
Yeah, but the receiver class is it's like you've got those 2-3 guys at the top of the class, like Drake London, Wilson. Those guys who they are that level above everyone else. But I just think once you go through kind of like, I think the top 10 linemen who are all going to be gone before the second round. I think you run out of really, really elite linemen. So the wide receiver, I can see him going second, third round for wide receiver.
I was just looking at their depth chart for wide receiver at the moment. So their wide receiver on the left-hand side is Auden Tate, and their wide receiver on the right-hand side is Damiere Byrd.
Maybe it definitely might take a wide receiver.
Damiere Byrd is your one. That's awful.
I suppose that they do assume that the wide receivers will drop a good bit. So I don't know, would you even waste your first round pick on wide receiver?
Yeah, I could see him going back-to-back picks in like the second and third, or the third and fourth for wide receivers, and try pick up another guy or 2 guys in the 6th and 7th. I could see him going heavy wide receiver, but late. I think they take an elite lineman here in the first round.
Yeah, I would imagine all these top 10 top 10 teams, not top 10 teams. You know what I mean? First 10.
Yeah, these
First-
worst, useless teams.
the worst. They're going to try to take whatever's best, like, you know, and obviously on the offensive side, it's not the best. So they're gonna be picking up someone on defense, offensive linemen, lads, just to show them up. That has to be the way you go for the top 10 anyhow. Or
But
first 10.
like Ridley is coming back, isn't he?
Well, no, he's banned for the year because of the gambling.
Yeah, but he will be back. Like,
Well, like after the year, maybe.
yeah,
But
like so. What like
Next year, yeah.
realistically, Atlanta are going to have a top 10 pick again next year, right? They're going to like nobody thinks Atlanta is going to be outside of it. Like they're probably more likely be inside the top 5 of Mariota at QB. It's just the way the year is going to go. So what is the point?
Oh, well,
getting
they're going
what
number
could be
one
an
now.
elite? Yeah, but like what could be an elite? No, well, hang on a minute, Dan. The Texans are still around. The Jets are still there. Let's not just like damn Atlanta to the number 1 pick. They're going to be a fight for that, and depending on how good Lawrence is, Jags could be back up there again. And with Jared Goff is still playing for the Lions at the minute, right? There's at least 5 teams fighting for that number 1 pick next year. It's just Tank
Super
City
Bowl
this year.
golf.
So, like, I don't understand the thinking behind taking an elite wide receiver when you have a guy in Calvin Ridley who he's top tier wide receiver nearly, and he's going to be back the year after. You could get a couple of guys later in the draft, get your elite lineman this year. Next year, if a good QB breaks out of the pack and you're top 3 and he falls to you, or if there could be 2 or 3 guys next year, just like there was last year, get a guy then, because this quarterback class is weak. So I doubt they're going to take a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round and expect him to plug and play. And I don't see the point in taking another wide receiver for him right now. Like, no point in taking him because he's not going to get the ball. He's not going to develop. What's the point?
Yeah, so that moves us on to Seattle anyway. So Seattle have picked 9, and they need a quarterback, an offensive tackle, and a cornerback as well. So again, it's the same theme that we've seen throughout the top 10. They all need these positions, so it's going to be a bit of a scrap for these players. Like Seattle aren't going to be taking your running back. They have Penny. They're not going to be taking your 2 wide receivers. They have they have DK and they have Tyler Lockett. They don't have a quarterback. They have Drew Lock, but I don't see Seattle taking a quarterback there either. I just don't think that's Pete Carroll's style. I don't know what you two think. Maybe they will take Malik there, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I don't think so. You can really see the quarterbacks just kind of dropping way down the pecking order. I think when you kind of get to this stage, I think you're going to see a lot of trades. I think teams are going to start trying to trade up for picks rather than actually taking these players. You know, could take quarterback, obviously, but I don't think any of these stop calling them top 10, Jamie. Any of these first 10 are actually going to take an offensive player. I don't. I think they're all going to just be shoring up the offensive line or the defense.
Well, I think for pick 10, the next pick is the New York Jets. I think we definitely see a wide receiver here.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Like most
I would
mocks
agree- I
have
would-
Drake London going with this pick.
Yeah, that again. Why? Why are you like the one guy out of the top 3 guys that has a question mark over him, and he's the guy you're taking in most mocks? What if the Jets do that? It's insane.
Like,
Like
whoever's
more
going
power
here isn't
to
going to
him,
have a
like-
good career.
Yeah. The poor bastard who gets drafted there, like it's just. I
terrible.
just
Who-
quit. I'd retire on the spot if I wasn't drafted. The Jets drafted me. I'd retire. I'd retire.
No, thanks. That's
if,
right.
if Houston drafted me, I'd just break my own legs. God, it'd be
So
awful.
rather than going through the rest of the picks and seeing what everyone needs, we might just kind of scroll through now quickly, pick out the teams that actually need fantasy relevant players, and take a look and see kind of who we think might go where or what kind of options we have. So Washington actually at pick 11, they might be in the market for a wide receiver. I don't know. They could easily be another destination for a quarterback either after getting
their
Carson Wentz.
their GM seems to be he loves picking wide receivers. Like he just like you could see if any of the top 3 guys are still on the board, them going wide receiver again. And you could also see him getting Malik Willis to sit behind Wentz for a year and just give him that year to adjust to the league, give him a few snaps. And I think Washington might be one of the first 2-3 teams to pick up fantasy relevant players. I think they're a real contender for picking up a fantasy relevant player.
Yeah, you can see a wide receiver going here. It would make sense when you invest in Carson Wentz. You're obviously investing in a throwing team. Carson Wentz is going to run the ball, so like you're going to need guys.
What are you on about? He barely threw it last year. Jonathan Taylor ran it 90% of the time. You get Carson Wentz to sit there and like just here, be ginger and stand over there. Hand it off. That's what he was got for.
He's not going to run the ball, right? So the only thing he can do is throw the fucking thing, unless he becomes a kicker and decides to kick the ball, right? So
you'd
they've
love
obviously
him, wouldn't you?
he'd be a fair play to him. Quarterback and a kicker. Ah, Jesus, unreal.
Jamie's wet dream.
Most people seem to have Jamie's wet dream. Why are we talking about this? Most people seem to have 3 receivers off the board by pick 11 early. So we think the Jets, the Falcons, and the Commanders are kind of all prime locations for these wide receivers. But then we move down to pick 12, and the Vikings are sitting there. And I was surprised to see basically every mock has the Vikings taking a wide receiver. I didn't think they would really be in that market, but apparently, according to the mocks, everyone has them taking one.
Yeah,
that is a bit odd.
It's odd. I would have thought they'd have went defense. There's probably going to be an edge rusher left there, maybe a D lineman, but like I don't see the need for wide receiver there. Like it really doesn't make any sense. Like just you already have 2 of the best guys in the league. Why are you getting another premium pick given up for a wide receiver that you don't need? Unless he's like outstanding, like unless like all 3 of the top boys are still on the board at 12 and you're doing what the Cowboys did with CeeDee Lamb. They couldn't believe he fell to him. And you're just like, oh, we gotta take him. Then I understand, but like if the top 3 guys are gone, what are you doing? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I can't see a wide receiver getting past the Jets. Like there's probably going to be one gone with the Falcons, in my opinion, anyway. So that's 2 picks there, and then maybe the Commanders take one, so that'd be 3. And then are you reaching for the 4th one then? If you're the Vikings, just to like replace Thielen because Thielen's a little bit old. I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one that.
Thielen don't need replacing.
No, like they have oh God, what's his name? They're slipping my name. Jefferson. Yeah, you have Jefferson. Like, it wouldn't. He's going to be an unbelievable wide receiver. That's the wide receiver 1 there. Why would you want to take another one? Especially in the Vikings position, like you're not really going to push for much. Like, to be honest, sure.
Maybe they'll do it just to piss off the Packers.
Just so we can't have it,
Well, what do you mean, just so you can't have it? When we get to ye, we'll explain why all Packers fans will be upset because you're not getting one.
Yes, we are.
You're not.
The Texans are back on the board at 13, so like that's anyone's choice again. What the Texans need. Baltimore are on at 14, but we all think they're taking a defensive player or an offensive lineman. Really, no one would argue with that, would they? We don't need another receiver going there for Lamar not to be able to pass to. Where do we go from there? We fly down to the Eagles pick that they got from the Dolphins. So I've heard people saying the Eagles could go for a wide receiver here. and I can't see the Eagles spending 3 first-round picks in a row on wide receivers. It just makes no sense. And again, Hurts isn't going to be able to throw them anyway, so what difference does it make?
I disagree. I think the Eagles take a wide receiver with one of their first 3 picks. Or I can see the Eagles packaging 2 of the picks for Debo. That's something I can see is the Eagles, or maybe even Metcalf. But the Eagles do get a wide receiver some way, shape, or form in the first. Howie Roseman loves his wide receivers, man. That man is picking a wide receiver or getting one out of somewhere.
So then we a lot of the mocks have Olave going to the Eagles with that pick. I don't know. It just seems mad to me that they would be making that move. Jamie,
Well-
any opinions on that one?
Well, they have Devonta Smith. Who's the other wide receiver in the Eagles?
Jalen
They
Rager.
drafted Jalen
Rager.
Rager, but he hasn't done
Rager, is that?
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can kind
And
of
is there-
see.
is there-
You could make a call for why they would take a wide receiver.
Yeah, I can
Is
also
Is
give a
there
reason
Jacob
why they
Whiteside still
wouldn't.
there?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
Or
but
Stephen
you could say-
Whiteside, yeah.
Is he still there?
I assume he is. It's what, his 4th year now, is it? He hasn't
Was-
done anything though.
Was he a second round or a first round pick? Was he a first round pick too?
He was a 2nd-round pick.
I had a funny feeling he was first round as well.
Maybe he was, and I just have it wrong. But I have it in my head he was a 2nd-round pick.
I know he would have
They
been.
haven't
He would have
drafted
been late
well
anyway.
anyway.
No, they are awful at drafting.
So we have the Saints sitting at 16. So they could easily get Olave here if he's sitting there still. I also wouldn't put it past them to maybe take a swing at a quarterback here. Because
Yeah,
I know
this for me, I'd 100% agree with that, Dan. This for me, if Willis falls outside of the first 10 and 11, sorry, at Washington or 11, if he falls outside of that, this is his next most likely destination I have down is 16 to the Saints.
yeah, that makes
most
sense.
people have Trevor Penning going to them at 16, the offensive tackle.
I
I don't
suppose
know,
they don't.
maybe we should-
They probably don't expect the quarterbacks to fall that low. I suppose. I mean, you only really have 2 to pick from. You know, your quarterbacks are probably gone by now. But if they're not, I probably would agree with Shane. You know, the Saints are probably going to take a quarterback at this point because they badly need a quarterback. And if the likes of Willis or Pickett fall here, they're going to be rubbing their hands on. Lovely. I'll take that.
Surprisingly, most mocks don't have any quarterbacks gone by now. Like I don't know how the Saints would just like if they had their choice of the 2, they wouldn't pick one there. But anyway, that's
I
just
suppose
I
me.
they're
would be
not-
amazed. I'll be amazed if there isn't a quarterback gone at this stage. I'm 110% in on the fact that Pickett is gone to Carolina. He's just, especially with the owner having the connections he has, and the fact that he's a massive Kenny Pickett fan. He's followed his whole career, apparently. I don't see Pickett getting lower than 6. Willis is the interesting one. Where is he going to end up? Because I do think he will go in the first round. It's just where. Even though I don't see him getting past 20 either. I think if he makes it down to the Steelers at 20, I think he's gone at 20.
Moves us down to the Chargers at pick 17. Then, I suppose offensive lineman makes sense for the Chargers. Maybe defensive lineman. Couldn't see them going wide receiver really.
No, they don't need a wide receiver.
No, not after
Yeah, they have
paying Mike
to.
Williams. And like they have 2 they have good corners there as well. D line is actually fairly solid for them as well. Linebacker. Like the Chargers are a solid team. They actually could just pretty much do what they want. Best available player.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
some people
There's no
haven't
one-
taken Olave, but I don't know about that. Like
Yeah.
I think Olave is just this one player you can throw into anywhere in the 10 to 20 range, and anyone can take him really.
It's quite a high pick for the Chargers, isn't it? I thought they'd be lower.
Yeah, did they get that in a trade? Well, I suppose they didn't make the playoffs, did they?
Nope.
Did they make the playoffs? Again, I cannot remember what
Oh,
happened
they
this year's
missed
playoffs.
it, yeah, that's true, actually. So that could be a very good pick for the Chargers to shore up.
The Eagles are the next pick at 18 again. So the Eagles have gotten a pick from the Saints here. And then right after that, the Saints have got a pick from the Eagles. So these 10 picks here are going to be so strange to know what's going to happen. Because you've reached this point in the draft where none of us are really going to know how it falls. Some people reckon that Treylon Burks could go here. It depends who these guys get earlier in the draft, I suppose, completely.
Yeah, it does. Depends what your picks are above, John. They're gonna, and to be fair, John, they're probably not going to go the way we think they're going to go. And then somebody's going to go, oh crap, now I need to trade up. I really think when you get to this point, people are going to start trading for like players that they need because they'll probably all be gone.
I can see that at this point in the draft. I don't think anyone is going to pay to get into the top 10 this year. I don't think, unless you're like desperate for a certain guy, but like as needs go on a team and you're just drafting in to get a decent player, I don't think it's going to happen unless they absolutely fall in love with one of the top guys. I think the price is too high to go up, and nobody seems that bothered. There doesn't seem to be enough talk about it anyway at the moment. Not like there was last year with Atlanta fielding calls for the pick they used on Kyle Pitts.
The Liverpool game just went 2-0, so there's no need to watch that anymore.
No, I'm watching it now. It was a terrible goal.
Pick 20 is where everyone thinks the QBs are going to start going. Everyone has either Kenny P or Malik Willis going to the Steelers. But we seem to reckon that someone might make an earlier shot at a QB, but everyone else, all the football minds in the world, have Pittsburgh taking the first quarterback here. And I cannot remember in my memory a quarterback not being gone by pick 20.
Yeah. I think Malik Willis is the most likely option for the Steelers at 20, but it's just about whether he falls there or not. Like, look, everyone could be wrong, and Atlanta could turn around and say, look, we want Willis, we're going to sit him behind Mariota for a year. You know, two guys that everyone thinks are going to fall to this late could be gone in the top 10. That's what we all love watching the draft. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows who's going to be there. There are all these big draft strategies that these teams have. They go 5 and 6 players, 7, 8 players deep for just a round at a time. Who's there? Who's best available? Where do we rank them? So, look, I'd love to see Malik Willis hit the Steelers. I think he'd actually have a good career there. I like Malik Willis to the Steelers. I think that's his best landing destination. Maybe the Saints, but I think the Saints without Sean Payton, you're at nothing. I think they're going to fall away massively. But Steelers, Malik Willis, I like that pick. It's a good pick.
Yeah, it's just the unknown with these quarterbacks. That's the problem. You know, like as I say, Pickett was that little bit older. He's been there a couple of years now. Willis, who was playing with Liberty, you know, he didn't really have much competition there. You know, but he's that dual quarterback that everyone seems to love now, which I think is why he's so high. I don't really know if it's his talent or not. And if he'd be able to actually adjust the NFL, he could become very much like a Lamar Jackson-esque kind of player.
Yeah, it's not like these. I know none of us can say what's going to happen in these drafts, but it's not like our fantasy drafts where we get 2 minutes and we panic and we tilt and we just throw any random person. That's how you end up with fucking Brandon Ayuk on your roster. But yeah, like these GMs, they have teams upon teams of people. They don't panic like we do. Unless we're completely wrong, and they do panic horribly, and that's how they end up with Brandon Ayuk on their rosters.
Well, have you seen the Rams house? The way where they're doing all the draft.
They don't have any draft picks.
I know, yeah. But did you see their draft
they
house?
Can't.
But did you see the draft house? It's crazy. It's
No.
this big, massive beach
No.
house, and like, or I suppose not a beach house really, but it's on like the hills of LA, and just overlooks LA, and it's a big, massive pool and everything. Look it up, Archie.
It went from,
It's
it went from a bit of
absolutely
beach
massive.
house to on a hill in the space of 2
Yeah.
seconds.
It looked like a beach. It might have like
One
a
of
beach
them-
house, and then I was like, it's on a hill, so it's not a beach house. Hill house. I don't know what you call it.
That's what a beach house is in Ireland. It's on a hill that looks at a beach from 10 kilometers away.
It's Irish beach house.
Nobody in the Rams has to worry about making a pick, though. If the phone rings in that place, they're all going to look around and be like, "Shit, what's going on, guys? Do we have to make a pick here, or
Is that the pizza?
that phone's never rang before? What does that thing do?"
No.
Hello. New England are pick 21. This will be a linebacker. Bill will take a linebacker with his first round pick.
There's just no way to call what they're going to do, is there? Like Belichick, man, he's just like everyone thinks, yeah, they need a linebacker. They're going to take a linebacker. It's got to be a linebacker. Probably be a fucking punter. Like, you just don't know what you're getting out of Belichick. Like, it just makes no sense half the time. Like, or he'll pick the absolute worst receiver or worst running back that he possibly can. Nobody knows about. It's like, oh, this random 4th round prospect made it into the 1st round.
In fairness, they don't normally take a first round pick. They've normally traded it away by now, so it's kind of surprising. But that brings us nicely on to the Packers, who got this pick from the Raiders at 22, just in front of the Cardinals to annoy me. And the Packers look like it would probably be a wide receiver. It just kind of depends who's left, I think, at that stage.
Has to be a wide receiver.
It's not going to be a wide receiver.
They can't not take a wide receiver.
It's not going to be a wide receiver.
I'll group the Cardinals with the Packers here. I think it's if there is a decent wide receiver left, either the Packers or the Cardinals will take the wide receiver, but there won't be one left, and it will be whatever crappy edge player either of us can get.
Well, my Cowboys are picking after you, and it's guaranteed we're taking an offensive lineman. There's going to be a good one left, and we're going to take an offensive lineman. So my
Cowboys
draft
fans,
is
they'll make
started.
him good anyway. They'll just say he's good, no matter what it is with the Cowboys fan. We'll all hear about him for the next 3 years.
No, I like the 2 guys they're kind of been mocked with the most. Zion Johnson, I think I prefer, to be honest. He left guard. We're desperate for left guard, so if he's there, I'd like to see him get taken. But like we're fairly good everywhere else. Like,
okay. back to the Cardinals and the Packers. So moving on from that, fairly lively. But like you'd expect some sort of wide receiver to fall here. Like we haven't said that there are many wide receivers already drafted at this point. You know, maybe 2 or 3.
We've already said there's about 4 or 5 gone at this stage.
You're at the scraping of the end of the barrel, but I think one of them could fall. The likes of maybe like Traylon Burks, maybe Jameson Williams from Alabama. But
I'd say Jameson Williams will be gone. You might get Dotson, or you might get Burks maybe. Yeah, like for a class that we said there wasn't much in, we're saying this. We're kind of saying here 5 wide receivers in the first 25 picks.
Yeah, I don't think the wide receiver class is that bad. You know, I think there is some good wide receivers there. Maybe, as we say, 5 or 6. But I think after that, it just falls off a cliff.
oh no, I think top 3 guys separate themselves from everyone else. I don't like. I think if it gets to that stage and say the top 3 are definitely gone, and then the next best in class, like if they're gone, there's like maybe 2 guys that I would take after those guys in the first round. And if those all 5 are gone at this point, I would be seriously saying, let's take the best available player and get wide receiver in the next round, because the quality is fairly much going to be the same. And like a lot of teams have shown in recent years, you can get a good wide receiver in the 2nd and 3rd round. like DK, second round guy, Michael Gallup, third round guy. Like, you don't have to go out and like nail your pick on the wall and say this has to be a wide receiver. If the guy is gone, I think move on. Green Bay fans are pushing for this wide receiver like mad, and yeah, the guy could be great, but I don't see the need.
don't
If the top
have
guys are gone,
Receiver.
if the
There's
top
a
guy is
reason.
gone, but again, if the top guy is gone, do what I said that Atlanta should do: take 2-3 guys later in the draft. So the quality is there. There's a lot of decent receivers going to come out of this class. I think. I don't. If the top guys are gone, I don't see the point in taking one in the first round. I think it's a waste of a pick. You get the same quality
So
in the second round.
what we're saying is Green Bay are going to trade up to 8, going to trade with the Falcons, and draft Kenny Pickett at 8.
Yeah, probably. I can see that. No, he'll be gone at 6. They'll
Small
take
hand
Malik
Pickett.
Willis.
If the Green Bay Packers didn't offer Kenny Pickett, I'm not a Packers fan anymore. That's it. Like, I'm just moving on. I'm just going to
It'd be
move.
worse,
Like,
man.
I go to the Jets or
They-
something. I don't know.
They end up
They need
with
a
hell.
backup
or
Less
love.
painful.
When we get to pick 25, we have the Buffalo Bills sitting there, and this is the first place that Breece Hall's name comes into the whispers of the fantasy world. Could
That
you
I
imagine
would
Breece
love.
Hall?
Oh, I would love that pick. That pick would just be amazing. Imagine sitting down to watch the Bills next season with the Diggs, Hall, Josh Allen. They've a really good O-line. Their defense is absolutely solid. Like, it would just be football porn. Like, they should just be amazing next year if they go and get Bryce Hall. But
Amazing. Just
I don't know that they do it. It'd
John.
be
No,
so
they won't.
frustrating. It's so frustrating. They should do it. It fits perfectly. You
Not when
need
you
a
have
running
Devin
back.
Singletary right back there.
Oh, suck my ass. He's useless.
Well, he'd be a great blocker for Allen. That's all I'm saying. Because we know they don't choose the running back, so
They'll take a
Yeah.
corner. The Bills will take a corner just to bore us all to death.
Don't please take Bryce Hall. We need or Breece Hall, whatever way you want to say his name. He needs to go in the first round. Like he's going to be the 101 in fantasy. And
well, it
Just-
hasn't
Jets in the
has-
second round. Jets in the second round.
no. then he's definitely not going to. If someone drafts him at the 101 after the Jets take him, you need to just quit fantasy football from now on because you don't know a goddamn thing about it. It's just ridiculous stuff.
But hasn't been a lot
Anyway.
of talk on Kenneth Walker as well that he's gonna jump ahead of Breece Hall. I've heard that in the last couple of days that people are kind of get the bit.
So with fantasy, we'll know more once we see where they land. Because remember, Clyde Edwards-Helaire suddenly appeared in the first round, and everyone got very confused because it was like, oh shit, now we have to draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Who's this guy?
Yeah, Jamie,
yeah,
who's that guy?
yeah. I did. that was moi.
We'll round this out very quickly now because I'm getting conscious at the time. We're hitting the hour mark. But the rest of it is the Titans at 26, the Bucks at 27. Packers are back at 28 to pick up whatever's left.
Another quarterback.
The Chiefs are at 29 with the pick they got from the 49ers. So it's hard to see what they might pick up a wide receiver, maybe. And then they're on the clock at 30 again. So they can go anyway with those two picks. You don't really know what they're going to do. But by the sounds of it, the receivers are going to be quite thin by now. 31 is the Cincinnati Bengals. I imagine they'll pick up a defensive item there. And then the Detroit Lions are at pick 32 for Breece Hall. Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah, but they are realistically, there's 3 spots at the end that Breece Hall could go, and 2 of them are good destinations in the Bills and Kansas City. But if Detroit
won't go to
picks him
Kansas
up,
City.
man, it would be great to see either of those 2 teams get him because I think if they got him, they would use him correctly, and he would be in a team that he actually could be fantasy relevant, very fast. But I just
The Chiefs,
like the
the
Lions
Chiefs
or
won't
the
take him. The
Jets.
Chiefs have Ronald Jones. The Chiefs have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They're not going to take him. And the Lions have DeAndre Swift. So I'm only joking there. That's not going to happen. Like,
Imagine
does
Green Bay
happen.
picks him up.
Aaron
How
Trey
awful
Jones,
would that
AJ
be?
Dillon.
We
Just
just
imagine
put
Rogers' face.
Dylan
He'd just be
Jones
like,
and
"Why?"
Hall right beside each other. That's won't know what's
Just
going on.
scowl.
They'll just start throwing the ball to each other like Magic Man.
He'll have to because Rogers will just pack it in. He'll retire on the spot.
That brings us to the end of the first round. We're definitely not diving into the second round because we'll be here all night, and I haven't done enough research to go that deep yet.
That's what she said.
Oh,
Nice.
all right, guys. We'll close it off. Any closing facts?
Kenny Pickett goes at 6. That's my big prediction for tomorrow night.
Kenny Smallhands Pickett's at 6.
Oh, and the Green Bay Packers don't take a wide receiver. at their
Driver,
first
the Packers trade off, and they're going to take Drake London.
No, never.
Are
gonna
you
happen.
are you staying up for it, Jamie? Actually, or are you going to bed?
Oh no, I have to work. Some people have to work.
I took Friday off so I could stay up and watch it. So I'll send you a text when you take Malik Willis at 6 then.
No. God.
Okay, let's sign off and watch the end of the Liverpool-Villarreal game that's already over. Goodbye, folks. I'm actually getting loads of people inquiring about the leagues. We're up to League 11 now in one quarterback, and we're on to League 3 in Superflex. So if you have any friends who want to get in on the leagues or you want to get another team yourself, just get in contact with me on Twitter or Dan Rolando on Sleeper and Dan at a1fantasy.com for the email. The two boys are Jim Jam the Monk on Twitter and Shane Carroll 953 on Twitter as well. Say goodbye, folks.
Good lads. Talk to you next week.
Adios.
Don't sound enthusiastic about it, Jamie. It was like, oh, see you there, lads.
Happy draft day! Woo! A better.